Let's go. All right. So I think today we're really going to we want to really stick with the text. We're looking at Yehuda Ilah and the way that it functions as Helim Vigilui. Previously, we were looking at Yehuda Tata, which was Mimale Kolam Mim, and the way that it works is through Etzem Vish Pastus. I don't say that very well. Etzem Vish Pastus. So now in these paragraphs, what he's doing is he's comparing one to the other. Because on some level, because we've studied it, so we understand something about Mimale. We understand something about Etzem vis Pashtus. And these are terms that we need to remember because he's going to be using Etzem vis Pashtus as instead of saying Yehuda Tata. And then when he's referring to Yehuda Ilah, he's now going to be talking about Helim Vigilui. And he's really telling us about these two different systems. And the only way we can really understand the higher system, the Helim Vigilui, is by contrasting it to the system that we already know something about or that we have more access to just because it's closer to our reality. That's how we live in the reality of Etzem vis Pashtus. That's how, the Mimale works. That there's an extension from the source to the created world. The world's created mi'ayin liyesh. So in order to go forward, we really need to know the previous paragraph well. So what we thought we would do is give you like 20 minutes just to go back and reread paragraph 21 on your own, just to make sure that you know it and to take some kind of notes so that you can like do a 5-line summary just to understand it. It's not that difficult, but that's what we're going to do. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I just want to suggest maybe if anybody wants to be paired, if that helps, or that's more of a distraction. If it's a breakout room, what works for you?
Unmute yourselves and tell us. All right. So we just reviewed paragraph 21. Would somebody like to give a very short summary? And if anybody has a question, and then okay, Miriam, you want to give a summary? No, you don't have to, but it's okay. Or Yoni, or Nechama.
I'll give one. Well, what I can say what I understood.
Okay, great.
Okay, Helen Vigiloi is like pure essence. It doesn't extend outwards, and it's it just gets uncovered. Like you can uncover it, but it doesn't extend anyway. There's no hispashtus from it, and that's how it's experienced in Atzilus, as far as I understand. In Beria Yatzira Nasiya, there's hispashtus, as if there's the essence, but it extends outwards without being affected. The essence doesn't get affected, but there's something that can extend outwards from it without affecting it.
Right. I think some of what you're saying is correct, but when you talk about hispashtus, when you're talking about etzem hispashtus, where's the hispashtus coming from?
It's coming from that essence.
What essence?
Well, like it speaks about the sun. So the sun is the essential being. And then there's a ray that comes out of it, which can extend, but doesn't affect the sun. When it's in the sun, it's united with the sun. But it's still something separate. With Helen Begillay, there's no separateness. That's what I understand, that it's just pure essence.
So I think that everything that you're saying is correct, but I feel I may be wrong. You can correct me. I feel you're missing one point in the Nimshal. You have the mashal, but the Nimshal is what is the mashal of the sun and the ray coming out of the sun? What is the Nimshal? It's the source of Bia. What is the source of Bia?
Is that the Malchus of Atzilus?
It's Malchus of Atzilus. It's its source. His pashtus is coming from the source to Bia. So that's the point that I feel that you're missing. It's not that there's a hispashtus from Bia. No, it's from the source to Bia. That's
like from Atzilus.
From the Malchus of Atzilus, yes.
Okay.
Was that what you had in your head, but you just didn't say it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
But there's something, I have a question, because it said, like the sun, which is called by the name of the radiance found within it, a luminous entity. I didn't understand that line. Like, is there something in the name of the sun of Shemesh that implies that there is a ray in it? Like, what does that mean?
Honestly, I also have a problem with those two lines. Why he brings this idea of a Shem, of a name. I think,
I'm sorry, where are those lines?
so it says, wait a minute.
So probably on page on the second.
Okay, I'm going to share it. Mila, you can also chime in here. But here it says, ולכן הוא מוסיף שם בעצם. Therefore it adds a kind of a name or description to the essence, כמו השמש, like the sun, שנקרא על שם הזיו.
Why don't I see that?
It's called by the name of the ray found within it, like B'Shem Devar Bahir. What I understand about the concept of a name is that a name is for something that's outside of yourself. You don't need a name. When you're talking to yourself, you don't need a name. You only need a name for something that's like a hispashtus, for something that's outside of you, for other people. Other people need to have a name for you. So that's what it's referring to, but like on a literal level, I also don't understand this whole idea. What does it mean that the sun is called by the name of the Ziv? Mila, can you explain it a little bit?
Because Ziv is the one that explains it. You understand? Nobody knows about the sun. Nobody can actually see the sun. The only time we were able to see the sun is, as Tzipi mentioned, it was when there was so much smoke, we finally saw sun. I mean, my kids didn't realize it. My kids were like, oh, what is that on the sky? And I'm looking it up. I see this orange ball. And I'm like, well, it's the sun. And for them, it was a discovery. I was like, really? That's how sun looks like? And I'm like, duh. Yeah. Because why do you think they asked that question? Because they never saw sun. We never see sun. You look at the sun, your eyes will fall out, right? You have no idea how the sun looks like. We see illumination. But, so kids are very pure. They don't have prior knowledge. They don't know that the sun is actually, looks like a ball. They see moon very clearly, but they don't see the sun. How are they supposed to know that the sun is like that? They see, maybe they see like it's like a star, you know, it's like they look at the sun and it's like that, you know, like it's like what I'm trying to say is that we don't really know like what really brings the property of the sun for our awareness is the ray. So that's why the sun is named the opposite. Do you understand? It's not that we see the atzem and then we see the hispashtus. The hispashtus gives us an awareness of the atzem. It's the other way around. It's going backwards. That's why in Yehuda Tata, we're not focusing on Hashem. We are focusing on creation being connected with Hashem. You see what I'm talking about? So there is a creation, and now I need to trace it back to its source. The goal is not the source. The goal is the connection with the source. There is something here in this world that appears to be yesh, and I need to bring it to its original source. That's the avodah of Yehuda Tata.
Can I ask a
Yehuda
question?
Allah is very different. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that that the direct light would be the essence and the returning light the extension? And through you
Right.
understand what I'm saying? And then
We could say that, but it's not explicitly mentioned here because the returning light could also means the light of the essence. You understand? It's not necessarily only could be used. It could be. You see, a lot of times is in Chassodus is where you could say something until a certain point, until the paradigm shifts. You understand what I mean? Like it's we could make an assumption on something until we are talking within the realm of that working paradigm. The minute we're talking about something else, a higher awareness, that system will no longer work. And the same entity of returning light will carry a new dimension. Understand?
All right.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Does Me'ayin Liyesh and Ratzov Hashuv, are those corresponding to the two different levels? So is Ratzov Hashuv Etzem B'Pashtus?
here
Same thing.
it's the same thing.
Ratzo, no, it's the same idea what I just said before. Meaning Ratzo Vashoiv in the system of Etzem V'Ispashtus, yeah. We gave, remember it was one of the mashalim, Ratzo Vashov, right?
Right, it's
That was one of
traveling,
them.
it travels.
Exactly, yeah. Meaning the what do you call it? The lightening, right? Lightens, and then it has to go back to get renewed energy. And it comes out again, and then it goes back, and then it comes out again. Yes, when we view the world in the paradigm of Etzem V'Ispashtus, then yes. Okay, so now we're kind of like, elevating ourselves. We're like, oh, the system of Etzem V'Ispashtus will live below. Now we are traveling into the awareness of the world of Atzilus, right? Wow, we finally got there. Okay, but it's a totally different ballgame, right? Because we're gonna figure this out now. You're understanding that we now need to kind of rewire our gears a little bit because the same story is not gonna work anymore. I think we all have come into a life point where we have a set of skills, right? Whether that's thinking skills, whether that's emotional skills, or whatever that is. And I guess it's midlife crisis where where everything what we've done up until now don't work anymore. You understand? Like that's it. It just doesn't work. It also could be in a relationship. It's like that's it. Like you now you need a new set of skills. Like it doesn't work anymore. Not because it's bad, because you are in a different place. It works where you were before, but now you're in a different place of growth. It doesn't work anymore. That's it. You need something different. And that's what we're talking about. Between Yehuda Tata and Yehuda Ilah, there is like this adjustment. It's like, they say, I don't know which sage was it. It's one of the Tanaim, that when he traveled from Babylon to Yerushalayim, he had to forget everything what he learned. You could say, excuse me, why you need to forget? On the contrary, it's a mitzvah to never forget. A person cannot do something to forget the Torah learning that he had. Reb Zera, okay, thank you, Sarah. So he had to unlearn everything what he learned. Like, how can you unlearn? What was he unlearning? First of all, how you could unlearn. Anybody could give me a strategy? How can you forget things? Can you forget Shema? Just forget Shema. That's it. You can't forget Shema. It's a piece of information that's already installed in your brain. How can you forget it? You don't forget it. So what was he actually doing, this guy? He was forgetting how he would come to conclusions. You see, there's a thought process that when you are in Babylon, in Babylonian school of thought, in Babylonian Talmud, you would come to conclusions through questions, right? There is a question, and then you compare and contrast. How come this one said this and this one said that? And, somebody heard something different. And through this dialogue, you would come to a conclusion. That's Babylonian Talmud. But when he came to Yerushalayim, when he traveled to Yerushalayim, he realized that an awareness that was in Golus, in Babylon. In Yerushalayim, they didn't have these questions. The whole mahalach, the whole traveling of the thought in Yerushalmi Talmud is different. So that's it. What are you going to do? You're going to force the outcome by using your Golus mentality, right? Into study of Jerusalem Talmud. You're going to kill yourself. Like, that doesn't work. You need to forget. There is a process of forgetting what you have been learning up until now. Why? Because it doesn't serve you anymore. Not because there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It works for that period of time. Now you need to unlearn that skill in order to acquire a greater way of thinking, which is the Jerusalem Talmud. Okay? And that's a new set of skills that he needed to acquire. And that's why that's called forgetting. It's not forgetting information. Information you cannot unlearn. You could unlearn how you do things. Yeah, like in your kitchen, there's a one way of cooking everything at the same time. And then there's a different way of cooking one thing at a time. And if you're used to one of these ways, you might just find it difficult to do something differently. Right? So that's, what we are learning.
It's really methodology that changes. Like,
right.
It's almost like a paradigm shift. When you go from Etzem Vispashtus to Helem Vigilui, it's a paradigm shift. And he's showing us where the paradigm shifts. What's the difference between these two paradigms so that we shift with it? I think, Mila, we should go on to the next paragraph. Now that everybody more or less has an idea of he continues really in the next paragraph with these themes.
Okay, as I think we're all salivating. But Tav not Mar. Remember, we were talking about these guys. Okay, we are all here salivating to hear what is that interesting thing, because actually he is discussing very interesting things, because we are coming more into the awareness of the Geula. It's interesting, right? What he's discussing here as a hint, it's actually a very powerful application for us in our generation. Over there, it's more theoretical. Okay, so I see Miriam is asking, the extension becomes an aspect of the essence. No, there's no extension. The essence is the extension. There's no extension. The essence is the revelation. It's
Yeah,
not the other way around.
that's
Yeah.
in Helen Vigilui. There's
Yes.
no,
In Helen Vigilui, the essence, the extension never leaves the essence, basically.
there's just revelation of the essence.
Right.
Whereas what
Okay, so
but then there's no actual extension.
there's no
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what that means.
Okay. So now we're just gonna focus. Okay. Let me just annotate so you could see where I am. Okay. So we're gonna focus on two differences. Okay. Between the Etzem V'Spashtus and Helen Vigili. And when we will understand the differences, we definitely will have some kind of shift in our brain. ונמצא שיש הפרש בין הלם וגילוי לעצם והספשטוס בבייס דברים. Right? So we find that there is a difference between Helen Vigili and Etzem V'Spashtus in two ways. האחד בבחינס הספשטוס לא חוץ שלא ייתכן בבחינס גילוי הלם. The first difference is regarding the aspect of extension, which is hispashtus outwards, and this is the key word here, right? Which is not possible in the aspect of the revelation of the hidden, right? Helen Vigilui. Meaning, when we are talking about Helen Vigilui, there's no outwards, there's no outside. Okay? And Helen Vigilui, there is outside. I'm sorry, Etzem V'Spashtus, there is outside. In Helen Vigilui, there's no outside. For this reason, Klipa could exist only in the Etzem V'Spashtus paradigm. You understand? Why? Because there's Yesh, right? From Malchus of Atzilus onwards, there is something, there is a creation. Once there is that separation, okay, even if it's a holy separation, once there's a separation, okay, there's a concept of a distance between Hashem and the creation. That distance could be filled with klipa, okay? In the world of Atzilus, it's non-existence. Nobody even knows. What is klipa? How could klipa even exist? Why? Because Hashem is everywhere in the world of Atzilus. There is not even the slightest crack in the system in the world of Atzilus that has a possibility for Kalipa to exist. It's non-existent. Okay. Now, that's the first difference. It's outwards. There is no out in Atzilus. Right? The second difference is regarding how it is included within the source. Okay, right? For the level of the revelation of the hidden is an absolute unity and bittul. There's no two things. The revelation is not something separate from the bittul. To the point that it is not separate at all from the essence of the hidden. Okay, it's not two things. There's not Gilui of the Helam. Helam Gilui is one thing. Okay, Gilui doesn't travel outside of the Helam. To the point that it's not separate at all from the essence of the hidden. It's not like that in the etzem, in the hispashtus. Why? It's a separate thing from the essence. But only that he unites with it. It's actually two things, and they're united with it. And all these two differences are really one. And one depends on the other. What does this mean? Since the revelation is completely united with the hidden, Therefore, it cannot extend outwards because it's one and the same thing. There's nothing to separate. There's no separation. There's no distance. It's one and the same thing. And it's not like this with the extension from the essence, as explained above, okay? But and it's enough to understand. Okay? And it's enough to understand. You get it? Okay, now.
So he basically, up until now, he really just repeated what we said in the previous paragraph.
Exactly. Meaning to understand, because etzem v'isfashtos, whatever is extending outwards from the essence is not fully united. It's not one and the same thing with the essence. Therefore, it could travel outwards. Okay? The ray of the sun is not the sun. Okay? That's why it could travel outwards. Meaning the ray within the sun has somewhat separation there. That's why it could travel outwards. You see, one is indication for the other. Now, in the Halem Begilui, the Gilui is so united with the Halem, it cannot separate outwards. Why it cannot separate outwards? Because it's non-existent. There is nothing to separate outwards.
Mila, I just thought of another mashal, which really goes back to the idea of Malchus of Atzilus being the Dvar Hashem that comes outward. It's really like our speech. Our speech is an extension outward. It's kind of nullified inside of us, but it is an expression of us. It's not, what I'm saying is not me, myself. It's, but it is some kind of expression outwards. It's a hispashtos.
Right. Alter Rebbe brings this in Tanya. That from the Malchus of Atzilus outwards, it's already a speech. It's out. Okay? Where in the world of Atzilus, it's more of the idea of the machshava. It's a thought. It's still within the person.
Right.
Okay.
Also, shmo that you said before, it's like that's why we are called a medaber. That's the other way. That's what makes us different. Remember before you said Hashem? That's and why it's called the sun is called like the Ziv, because that's what he does. That's what we do. We talk. Like that's how we're distinguished differently from the other Balei Chaim.
Right. Okay. Now
So I have a question about the so Helen the Giloi, they're opposites. It's revelation and hiddenness. So how is that one? How does that reflect the essence of the pure essence? Is it Helen or is it Giloi? Or it sounds like it shifts between the two.
That's what he's going to say now. He's going to explain that now, actually.
right.
It's a good question.
Okay.
I mean, think back. He is going to explain it, but think back to what was the mashal that he gave in the previous paragraph for Helem V'Gilui? What was the mashal Nechama?
I don't remember.
Okay, somebody remembers? Tzipi, you told me. What was the mashal for Helem V'Gilui?
The treasure chest.
Right.
That was always there.
Right.
Right.
But it almost sounds like so if you're talking about the difference in the Geula, it almost sounds like the treasure will spread out, that the Hashem's essence will fill the world, and it won't be contained up there in that one place where we're siphoning it from as a source.
So I think let's, first listen, and then that's too much interpretation right now.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. V'od yesh hefresh b'neim. And there's one more difference, legabe amikabel, compared to the makabel, right? So up until now, we were speaking about how it is in its essence, right? But let's not forget Hashem created such a complex world that there is a reality, a true reality, okay? And then there is how it is appears to the Makabel, okay? Because truly Hashem created all of this structure, it's for the Makabel. Hashem doesn't need this. Okay, Hashem said, let's create a man. Okay, how are we going to create a man that is not going to be enmeshed? Okay, Hashem wasn't into, enmeshed relationships. Okay, he's like, everybody has to have their own identity. Okay, so, okay. He's like, okay, if I'm going to be a parent, I'm going to have an ultimate, model. I'm going to model the world how to be a good parent. Okay, autonomy, right? Full autonomy. Okay, so how are we going to do this? I'm everywhere. Okay. Hashem said, if I'm going to shrink myself into one place and create a true halal rekan, right? A true empty space, it's not going to be fair because my kids will never find me. Do you understand? He said, so I'm going to play a trick here, an illusion of them being separate, but yet I'm going to be the source of it all the time. Okay? And the whole game is how my kids are going to rediscover me. Okay? That's basically, the game that we're playing with Hashem. Where is Hashem? I'm right here. Oh, okay. And another situation. Where is Hashem? Okay. Oh, I'm right here. Okay, so through this, we will start to realizing and calming down anxiety where we will not ask the question, where's Hashem anymore? Right? So yeah, what else it could be? So now it's a Makabel. Now compared to the Makabel, what's the story with the Makabel? Ha'alef, there's a difference. Shebegilui ha'helem muchrach liyus halas ha'Makabel. That in the Helem Begilui, in the world of the Tzilus, in the Yehuda Ilah, okay, again, when we're talking about the way Atzilus, we're not talking about the way Atzilus. It's a paradigm of Atzilus, right? It's Yehuda Ilah. Yehuda Ilah could happen here. You understand? Yeah, you get it? The Yehuda Ilah doesn't have to have a cosmic experience. It's here. It's within us. All the worlds are within the person. Okay, so Yehuda Ilah perspective, it's Helem Begilui, okay? A Makabel has to come up to the level of the Mashpia. Shehu Nisyas Einav L'makom HaMashpia Atzmai. This means that the Makabel lifts his eyes towards the place of the giver. Remember, Shema means S'u Ma'am Enechem, right? Rise up your eyes. Okay? Meaning, we're looking in the place of the Makabel, of the place of the Mashpia. Why? Because you cannot look at the revelation alone, okay, unless he looks at the essence. As hu margish ichus gilui ha'etzem kamuvan. Right? Then he senses. I want you, this is a trigger word, remember? Okay? Then he senses the quality of the revelation of the essence, and it is understood. Obviously. Kamuvan, it's also obvious. Okay? So, you get it? You cannot see the Mashpia unless you look at him. Right? I guess by the chasana we'll play Helem Begilui, so we cover our face. The chasana covers the face. And then when the face lifts, you pick up your face. Who is this? Anybody wants to see the color, they need to look at the color. A color cannot come to us, and speak to us, unless we look at her, right? It's different with the sun, though, okay? Now, we need to look at the mashpia, we need to look at the face in order to see it, meaning the revelation itself is one with the essence and therefore cannot be revealed unless you look at them. You understand? Like there is no, it's impossible in a way. But she'enkin b'ispashtos. In the ispashtos, it's very different minatzim. Ein alat amikabel. You don't need to look at the makabel. Rak lebchinas hamashpia, but to the aspect of the mashpia, kmo shei b'chinas yirida lemata. Only to the level of the mashpia, as it is in the aspect of descending below. Remember? Malchus of Atzilus is already creating the worlds, right? And therefore it's in the creative process. Therefore you look at that creative process, you look all around you. This is all in Yehuda Tata, the whole world becomes an indication that the essence exists, okay?
So are we talking about Tzimtzum compared to no Tzimtzum?
No, don't talk about Tzimtzum yet. Tzimtzum in Yehuda Iloz is also Tzimtzum. Let's not get there. Okay, we're not talking about Tzimtzum. Okay, we are talking about that compared to the Makabel, okay, in Helam V'Gilui, I need to look at the Mashpia. I need to raise my eyes to the Mashpia. I won't be able to see anything of the Mashpia unless I look up in the place of the Mashpia, whatever is Hashpa is giving me. Now, in the Atzim V'Ispashtus, it's not like that. Why? And therefore, one can actually look at the ray of the sun, okay, even without looking at the sun itself. You understand? Meaning, when somebody asks me, Mila, can you please see if sun is out? I look out, I see the sun and I see the shade. That means there's a sun. I don't need to go and actually find where the sun is shining to see the indications of the sun. No, it's enough for me to see, look outside of the window and I could see the sun is out. How do you know? Somebody will ask me. Well, I see the sun ray, right? If the sun ray is out there, that means there's a sun also out there. Because the sun doesn't travel outside of the sun without being connected to it. Don't forget. In his pashtus, he has to be all the time connected to the source, remember? I cannot, like, okay, here's the sun. I take a scissor and I cut out the sun ray and then play with it. It's not a piece of dough, right? The sun ray cannot exist without the sun. But at the same time, the sun ray is not the sun.
So, Mila, it's really quite difficult for us to understand because, in a sense, I mean, that's why he's really comparing it to what we can understand. In this world, we look at the creation, and from the creation, we understand something about Hashem. But in Yehuda Ilah, meaning like we're looking at the ray of the sun, we don't look at the sun itself. But in Yehuda Ilah, it's not like that. You have to look at the source itself. And only then can you margish, like you draw down your understanding of it. He describes this, I have to say, he describes this earlier in paragraph 3, where he says, Shema Yisrael, that first you get mamish connected to the essence itself. And only then you draw down a revelation of it. But it's something that's very astonishing that you actually...
It's the same, it's the way of Chachma. You look and then you feel. Because remember, the world of Atzilus is the world of Chachma.
Right.
Okay. Bria, Yitzir, Asiya, this is the Bina, the Mides, and the action. Okay, that's how it goes, right? So the Yud is the Chachma, the Yud Kevavke, right? So the Yud is the world of Chachma, this is the world of Atzilus. You have to see, and you see the essence. It's like you see the building. How can I sense the beauty of the building without looking? You can't. You look at something beautiful, then you sense the beauty of it. That's that's Etzem V'Ispashtus. I'm sorry, that's Halam V'Gilui. The beauty reveals itself when you only look at it. It's impossible to sense the beauty of something without seeing it. Okay? Whether with your physical eyes, whether with your mind's eyes, but you have to lift your eyes to that thing that you look at. Okay, that's why one of the mashalim, one of the 5 mashalim that we're going to uncover now is the sight. And it's the most fascinating thing, how it describes how we see, right? All your science books are nothing compared to how Rabbi Hillel is going to describe. By the way, we're such a beautiful time. It's Hey Menachem Av, it's Arizal, right?
Right.
So the Yortzeit of Arizal, those of you who are in Sfas, wow, I'm jealous.
Mila, I'm thinking when we read it, I'm thinking, I was trying to think, how does it refer to our kesher with the Rebbe? And then I was thinking that etzem and itpashtut, you could say maybe that the shluchim are on the one hand itpashtut, and on the other hand, you need to have that ייחודי לעל, like להביט, to look, maybe the learning, the connection, and then there is a התפשטות that from the התפשטות
Exactly,
you
because
sense the source.
Because remember what the Rebbe says about shluchim? Shluchai k'maisai. On one hand, shluchim are the extension of the Rebbe. At the same time, it's one and the same thing. Because shliach, it's like himself. So in a way, you're right. We could, in a way, have this dual relationship with the Rebbe, you know? On one hand, I'm the extension. I'm doing the Rebbe's work. Okay? But it depends how much are you really united with the Rebbe. Understand? Because truly, shluchai kamaisai, the shluchim, it's like the Rebbe. It's like the Rebbe itself, you know. So you have this dual. It's a beautiful example that you're bringing. Yeah, it's like this. You know, it's like weighs your identity. The more you have you in it, the more you are like the sun and the ray. You understand? Because even in your inclusion within the Rebbe, you have your own self. You understand? But once you become a selfless shliach, you see things shluchim do where you look at them like, how in the world have you accomplished this? Because there was no them. You understand? There was no that inner resistance. Who am I? What am I? How am I going to accomplish this? Because there's no you. If the Rebbe is accomplishing it through you, remove yourself from the way. You understand what I mean? All what you need is to become a vehicle to, you know, to all these great things. You understand what I mean? Like, it's in a way, our little brain, our little created brain stands in the way of the true flow to emerge. And that's, you know, that's taking, Sarah, you were there when we were learning to feel emotion, right? That's where some of the shluchim are very prosperous. You understand? Why? Because Moshe is Asher. So therefore, who are you? If you are you, so like, whatever, maybe you'll have money, maybe you'll not have money. You understand? But if you are Moshe, you understand? If Moshe is Asher, so you also have to be Asher. There's no questions about it. And we see with some shluchim that they just, you know, that they just have abundance. So how come? Some shluchim are suffering, some shluchim are abundance. It's to what extent you are one with a mashaleach. You understand? Because it's whatever, we're a little bit going off, but what you brought up, it's 100%. Okay. Masha'enkin b'hispashtus min ha'etzem, right? But it's not like that in the hispashtus of the etzem. Ein halat ha'mekabel. Rag lebchinas, we did that. Okay. Okay. V'lechein ziv ha'shemesh yochel ha'mabid al ziv ha'pal pi shelo yabid al etzem klal. Okay, our base. Now, the second difference, remember, that's already a third difference, truly. First two difference, we figured that it was one. Now, the second difference, that's the second difference. It's through the revelation, the very essence of the etzem, of the hidden, becomes grasped by the makabel. Okay? Now, al yidei ha'hispashtus lo yitafes like metzuosei. But through the extension, through the etzem hispashtus, only existence metzias is being grasped. Okay? And remember, it is all based on the level of our development, right? A child grasps the Metzias on his level. You understand? The adult grasps something different. But when we're talking about Halam Megiloi, it's equality there. You understand? In the Halam Megiloi, we all see the same thing. Now, in the second sets of Chilukim, Bebeis Chilukim Elu, okay, Gam Ken Haba Hatalia, they also depend on each other. כמצד שהוא נויס עיניו למקום המשפיע עצמו, לכן נתפוס בעצם המשפיע. Since the Makabel lifts his eye towards the place of the Mashpia himself, therefore the essence of the Mashpia becomes grasped within him. Okay? B'chol dalet chilukim hu mitam echad. And now all this four, meaning first two sets and the second two sets, now we have four, right? They are truly come from one reason. What's the reason? Because the revelation is completely united and one and the same thing with the hidden state. And is not separate from it at all. And since it is not separate from it, and therefore it is automatically understood that there's no new addition within the revelation itself. Why? Because it's always present within the essence of the hidden state. Okay. And the newness, right, is only to the eye of the one who sees it. Okay. For example, you now don't see my face. Now you see my face, right? There's no new with my face. It's the same face. The one who sees it didn't see it, and now he sees it. But you still see the same face. You don't see an extension of my face. I don't even know how that would look like. Okay, but you still see my face. It's my face. Nothing changed. Before you didn't see it, now you saw it. It's like, I don't know if I told you the story with me and my phone on the graduation day, me looking for my phone for 15 minutes. Okay, and I asked my Moshe, and my Moshe says, "What, you're holding it?" Nothing changed. The phone was there. Everything was there. Okay, it's my awareness snapped out of the realm of seeing my phone and being connected with my body. But the minute my awareness was brought to right here, right now, and pointed, oh, yeah, now I see anything changed. My phone is the same, still phone. Okay, and my hand is there. Everything is there. It's a snapping of the awareness. It's hard for us a little bit to understand this. Why we're struggling with this? It's simply because not that many of us really live on this Yehuda.
So does that mean that the Helam is actually an illusion? That it's not real. It's just a matter of whether you see it or not.
It's not that it's not real. We don't see it. It was brought up before in Parshas Balak. Bilam does not see the angel standing there and not allowing to go. His donkey saw it, he was not. And the expression that the Chumash uses, Vaigal enav, it doesn't say opened his eyes. A revelation came over his eyes and he was able to see what was over there. There's lots of things that are happening in the air right now. There's waves are in the air. There's a lot of happening all around us. Do we see it? Not necessarily. It's about and sometimes we do get to see it. Hashem reopens the revelation in our eyes and we're able to see things that we usually don't see.
It reminds me of what the Rebbe said, open your eyes.
So we know that if we don't see something, that doesn't mean it's not there.
Exactly. In the world of Atzilus, the essence of Hashem, in the paradigm of Atzilus, the essence of Hashem is imprinted in us. Okay? It's here. There's nothing exists outside of Hashem. You understand? There's no Ispashtus. The sun is everywhere. So now, if you don't see it, that means you live in Yehuda Tata paradigm. That's just as simple as that. when you're going to have your aha moment. You're like, oh, okay. I just had a situation, okay? A few days ago, I was so upset about something. It's like really, it just got to my heart. I was like so upset about something. Doesn't matter what it is. Just like I was besides myself. And I thought to myself, like, okay, Mila, what are you going to do now? Like, you need to calm down. Okay. You just need, I don't know, you need to do something because you're like so caught up in that negativity. So what did I do? I went to the rabbi. So, you know what? I'm just going to write as is that I'm fed up. I can't do this anymore. It's enough. Everything. Okay. I just wrote a whole letter. It was very strong. And as I finished writing, I see, and the situation was changed 180 degrees. It's literally, it was like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Just from writing, you felt?
Yeah, no, I did not feel. It's a situation that manifests in the physicality.
Oh.
Okay. It's a situation, that involves other people. Do you understand? It was just like, I was okay, this is it. Like, it's like before you quit, when you realize that you cannot really quit, it's like, okay, like, I'm raising my hands. Like I everything what I've done. That's it. It's like, how much can you do already? And as I wrote, all of a sudden I stepped back. I look at the same situation that I stepped out. Okay. Not to blow anybody's fuses, okay? Including my own. Just like, when you completely like in a self-control to the fullest, you just stepped out, just to come back to yourself. And the thing changed. And I'm like looking at it. And I'm like, that's probably what Helen Begilui is. Do you understand? Nothing really changed, but then yet everything changed. Like all the people around, everything just worked out. It went into a place, like every fitting. And I'm like, how this happened? That's a change of the awareness. Sometimes we come to it through a pain. Okay. Sometimes we come through it through a joy. Right? That depends whether you're following the Chasadim or Gvuris. Do you understand? Sometimes we come to that place where we just like, okay, like something higher has to emerge. Okay. And we force emerging of that higher awareness through pain. Okay, where we just like fed up. Like we in a way like defy, like, I don't agree with this. Like, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm not playing this game by these rules. Okay, change the rules. And you know what? Hashem changes it for you. He does.
Mila,
And then all of a sudden you see like a new reality emerging. That's like for me, it was like a Helen Megillah. You understand? It's like there was no, it's not Etzem V'Ispashta situation. Etzem V'Ispashta situations, you have a meeting, you discuss, you work things out, you understand? There is a Hishtalshalos and things. In a Helen Megillah, there's no Hishtalshalos. It's either here or it's not. And when it's not, it could appear. It literally could appear.
Was it that your way of looking changed? Is it you're growing?
No, it's a matana. No, it's Hashem does it for you. There is a read. Sometimes it's
Mila,
I don't know. Like,
Mila, there's a question that a few people are asking. You're not being clear. It sounds like your perspective changed, but perhaps what you're saying is that the reality changed.
Yeah, reality changed. Now my perspective remained the same. I don't want this, period. Take it away from me. I don't want this challenge.
And then the challenge disappeared.
Yes.
Okay. So
it's funny. It's like it's like it was like a magic in a way, like it's just literally.
Mila, you did do some work. It wasn't, you could say, like the work that you did was you did the writing. Without the writing.
No, for sure. No, you could do the work, but the work is very different. The work is not working out a conflict. There's nothing to work out. The work is acknowledging. First of all, in a Helen Megillah, I think you know exactly where the source is. You just do not agree to the distance. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, like in the Helen Begilui, there is no like, oh, show me, where are you, Hashem? No, the discussion is very different. The discussion, I know you're here, reveal yourself. It's a very different discussion. You understand? The discussion is not like, oh, where is Hashem? Listen, this happened to me. Where are you? You know where's Hashem. Hashem is right here in this situation. And if he is here in this situation, you might as well just reveal yourself. You know, it's a very bold statement, you know. It's like there's no pardons anymore.
Would you say that sometimes there are the kinds of prayers where when it comes from such a deep place in your heart, that it's answered immediately in a way that's impossible? Like something, something shifts
because you see, you have to. Like it's true. Exactly. That's
other
what
times it's not like that. But these are examples. Look, I want to say that he keeps emphasizing though that you can't get to Yehuda Ilah without going through Yehuda Tata.
No.
Yehuda Tata is always first because you're not a vessel. You have to. That's where you create your vessel in Yehuda Tata. And then you can go to Yehuda Ilah. You can't start in Chochmah, you start in Bina. It's always
for sure, because you need to create a database. Do you know what I mean? You need to create a database to operate within it. You know, like it's in a way when you literally have no fraction of a doubt of Hashem's existence, then you could operate in Helen Begilui. That's my humble understanding. You understand? Once you start doubting whether Hashem exists, where is Hashem in my life? This is fair, this is not fair. All that, it has to be worked through Yehuda Tata. And after, there's a certain place within you where you're like, something is being presented and you don't agree. But then you might ask yourself a question, who are you to disagree with Hashem? Right? But you don't have that question in your Yehuda. You understand? In Yehuda, you don't have that question because it's like, okay, like this is just too much. You understand? Because you don't look at yourself from an ego perspective as me, something being separate. You look at yourself, what you can and what you cannot handle at this given moment.
Mila, let me be devil's advocate here, and Miriam Goodman wants to ask a question. Aren't we going too quickly to a Bahrain here?
We could, for sure.
Well, I'm saying I feel like this is usually we don't do this. You know.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. Usually we don't.
To a Bahrain very quickly rather than just staying with trying to understand what he's saying. You're doing an interpretation. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm just wondering if this is not the way that we've learned up until now, and why.
It just happened to be mamash happening a few days ago, so it's still fresh.
No, I'm just asking.
I'll tell you, the problem with Bahrain, I guess it's also a limitation of etzem v'spashtus, understand? Because when you're working from etzem v'spashtus paradigm, you're dealing with the spashtus, you're drawing a Bahrain, you sometimes lose this. You understand? From Helen Vigilu, you're not losing the etzem. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mary.
So I don't know. I can't go on your aesthetic level yet because I don't have all of that information in my brain. I'm a beginner at these kind of levels of thinking. But what you said reminded me of when I had my daycare. I noticed that when you work in Chinuch al Taras HaKodesh, that I noticed situations that I would be in that would, like what you say, like there would be like just a miracle. It'd be a situation that was not something that I could do. I remember one thing happened with a child, and he was like from a very chashuva family, and he came to me and she asked me, do I know how to discipline? Anyway, it was a strange situation. I took the child, was a little older, and he started, after he was with me a short time, he started biting terribly with children. And finally, one day I was just outside with him and the other kids, and I said to Hashem, I just said, look, Hashem, I said, this I can't do. I can't have a child like this amongst my children. And I know if I put him out, he has nowhere to go. He's been on all the places here. As if that family came to me, they've been everywhere else. So where is he going to go? I said, what am I going to do? And you know what? After I spoke to Hashem, really like to say from the depths of my heart, And I just something I have no solution to this situation except, out. And in my heart, like this feeling started growing, this like love, like opened up. It was like almost like you said, like a miracle, from like out of nowhere. I had this like strong bond with this child, and I hardly knew him. He was like new to my group. And from that moment, that feeling opened up inside my heart after I prayed to Hashem about this child. Anytime I was around in his environment, he did not bite. As long as I was there, because I really felt this child. And then the next week, his mother decided out of nowhere to take him alone on his own on a vacation somewhere. And her twins, were younger than him, were left with the babysitter, whatever. And he came back like a different child, smiling. He gained weight. He was like in such a different mood. So, I mean, I don't know if that's called Helen Vagili or what, words you apply, but there are situations in life where you come to a point you just can't do anything as much as you would want to. It's like impossible. There's nothing you can do. And Hashem steps in. Something is created that's not from you. It just comes out of nowhere. Like,
okay, I hate doing this. I just would like to let everybody know that at 11:30 I have my a final meeting with my other course that I took. So I really need to go. So I'm gonna leave Naria here. I know I know I usually don't do that, but it's my mamish time commitment. And I love you all. And Bezrat Hashem, just continue. I mean, Naria will help you to wrap it up. And my Chasacha next Sunday, I will not have that restriction. Bezrat Hashem. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mila.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mila.
Also, I want to thank Miriam. There was a beautiful personal example that is worth a million. Thank you.
Yeah. What it brought up for me was that, and I've heard this elsewhere, and this is what we're learning, that even miracles, they're the laws of miracles, how they happen. And this is partly what we're learning now. We're learning about how Helim V'Gilui happens. And this is why I said, okay, it's on the one hand, it's good to have examples, but we've learned from before, we need to keep going back to the text because the examples help to bring it into our understanding, but then you go back to the text. Why? To understand the pshat, to really make sure that you're understanding all the details of the law, so that then you can have your own understanding and your own application. So, yeah.
I personally, for me, the examples are very important because if you're learning law, like there could be a professor that's teaching medical students, but unless they know and they go and practice them, it's two worlds apart. So for me, the application, for me personally, I'm just talking when personal examples are given, like all of a sudden also what you spoke about before, the Aleph and the Pele. So it sounds Miriam's experience were more like the Pele from her neshama couldn't take this anymore. And she was like begging Hashem to help out this child and the relationship. There was a revelation of Pele. It wasn't necessary through his boinanus, but it was through like just really asking Hashem to open up. And you hear that in a lot of stories of Hasidim. The Misnagdim are very against it. Stories of Hasidim where this guy didn't want to be embarrassed, so he would daven to Hashem to get answers on halacha and many different things. And when a big gadol came over and asked him, where did you learn this? Where everything? He says, well, I didn't really learn it. I asked Hashem, please, to spare me and give me the answer. So there, and the Misnagid totally like this is an easy way of doing it. This is not that's not how we do things, So there is the avoida of, like you said, the Aleph, which is being misboinen to Aleph from the ulpan, from learning misboinenus and going deep. And there's other times where from the davening, from Pele. Eidishter Pashut help me. I'm like, open up my eyes, like, and things happen.
Right, we need both. Okay, so look, we really said that we want to keep this class to an hour and a half. So we can do that. We can close the class down. What I would recommend is that you go back over that paragraph, and basically he gave 4 differences between Helen Vigiloi and Etzem Vispashtus, and just make a chart so that you're following like literally what did he said, and make a chart. This is, on one side in Salem Vigiloi and the other side is Etzem Vispashtos, and do the, fill in your chart so that you just see what is he trying to say. He's saying this is the difference. These are, how it is in relation to Hispashtos, in relation to the source. Those were the first 2. And the second 2 were about the makabel. What are the 2 differences between the way that it's received by the makabel? And when you do that iyun, that's basically, the most basic level of iyun is just really trying to pay attention to what is he telling me. And when you do that iyun, you will, you'll have ideas will arise for you about what this means. I wanted to just speak to Nechama. Are you there, Nechama?
Yes,
And by
I'm
speaking
here.
to you, speak to other people as well. Because what I hear you doing is, if this applies to other people, you should listen as well. You're bringing ideas like Ratzov Vashov, and I can't remember, maybe Miriam, you said something else. One of the things that we learned earlier about some of the way that Mimale works, the way that Yehuda Tata works. So in a sense, this one of the tricks when you're learning these things is you have to know when you're in the klal and when you're in the prat. When we were talking about Ratzov Shuv and those details of how Yehuda Tata works, we were in the details, in the prat of Yehuda Tata. Now he's pulling out a little bit, and we're in the klal of Yehuda Tata. We're talking about how Yehuda Tata works in a general way with the source, with Malchus of Atzilus. So those concepts don't really apply exactly. They kind of do. Oh, it was Miriam, you were talking about the direct light and the indirect light, the returning light. So those are more when you're talking about the details of how Yehuda Tata works. But now he's pulling out and giving us more of a general, making a general statement about Yehuda Tata, how Bia works in relation to Malchut Atzilus in a general way. So do you see the difference? It's like he's pulling out. Now you're looking at the big picture and you're trying to take the small details and put them into this big picture. It's not really the time to do that because he's trying to make a point about Yehuda Ilah. And so he's pulled out on Yehuda Tata, like to show you the big picture and talk about things about like how is it in its sorts and the Hishbastus. It's looking more at a big picture view in order to tell us something about Yehuda Ilah, not to tell us about Yehuda Tata so much, although we're learning about both. So you get that? I see Miriam's, you nodding. This is a very big trick in this kind of learning to know whether you're in the details or if you pulled out more.
So what's confusing to me a little bit is it seems like there are a lot more details, or we've learned a lot more of the details in Yehuda Tata. And my impression now is that Yehuda Ilah doesn't really have all those details. It's like the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's one of the differences, I think. I don't know if I'm correct.
So the thing is also, first of all, like just to listen first and then to process. Like first, just hear what he's doing. Just try to understand what he's doing. And what he's doing is he's trying to explain something to us about Yehuda Ilah, but he's doing it by comparing it to one aspect of Yehuda Tata. Only one aspect, not all the details that we've learned. Those are not relevant right now to this discussion. And you are correct. All of the things that we spoke about Yehuda Tata, that's not the way Yehuda Ilah works. It's a different paradigm. So for the moment, like all of that belongs to Yehuda Tata, except what he's speaking about now, which is one specific detail about how it manifests from the source into Yehuda Tata and how that contrasts to Yehuda Ilah. It's kind of like, because he's trying to describe something to us that we can't understand. So he's having to use the example of something that we could understand, like the sun and the sun's rays. Whereas Yehuda Ilah, he hasn't really, okay, he brought the mashal of the treasure. So he did give it to us, but still he's contrasting one particular detail. So now if you're bringing all those other details like Ratzov Ashov and the returning light, they're not relevant right now. So keep those to your study of Yehuda Tata, and now just try and listen. Now we're in a new stage of listening. What's he trying to tell us about Yehuda Ilah, actually? And he's just bringing one detail from Yehuda Tata to explain that to us. Okay, I think we're gonna, yeah, everybody should have an easy fast. Thanks, Sarah. B'ezrat Hashem, next week we'll come back and we'll continue in this most interesting exploration of something we have not known about before.
Blessings, blessings, blessings upon you for teaching us and opening up our minds and our hearts to really see Hashem as He is and understand it and bring it into our reality.
B'ezrat Hashem. Thank you to all of you, because if you weren't here, we also probably wouldn't be here. All right. Have a good week, and everybody should fast well, and we shouldn't have to fast.